And we're live. Welcome to the TCG show. I'm Marilyn. Today we have on Justin from Kingsway. He's coming to us right from Florida. So thank you so much for coming on and meeting with us today, Justin.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. I'm pretty excited to be here. It's my first time doing anything like this, so we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be great. So how I got to be acquainted. This is the first time I'm actually meeting Justin face to face. But we were in Florida visiting my sister, and we wanted to check out an LGS, and there really isn't much around in the she's like right outside of Daytona. So we were like checking it out, and we found you, and it was a really nice store, and it felt like it was enormous. First of all, it was like Rob's dream store. It has like a really nice storefront with play space, and then you have this enormous warehouse in the back. So like Rob has his store, and then about a mile away we have the warehouse.
Okay.
So you have it all like right under one roof, and we're walking around the store, and we were just talking, and one of your guys asked him, "Is like, oh, is your name Rob?" And I was like, "Oh my."
Andy.
I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, I couldn't believe. So this is the first time that like Rob, like I had witnessed Rob being like recognized out in the wild.
Right.
So it was incredible. But like I just felt so like at home at your shop. It was really nice. Everyone was super friendly. You have a great selection, and the guys give us like a tour, and they showed us around. It was really nice. So go ahead.
It's a weird location for sure, but that's what makes it a little bit more affordable too, you know. So
yeah, well, it's great. It's great for the community. You had tons of people in there, and that was even before Prismatic came out. It was like right after Surging Sparks, because we saw some Surging Sparks in Walmart, which was like incredible because up here you couldn't get anything.
Right.
So we went to your store, we bought some packs, and yeah, I couldn't believe that the amount of people that were in there during the day. So do you have like people that are just like in there like from what kind of hours do you keep?
So we're open typically noon to about 10 p.m. Sundays we close now early at 9. But most of the time there is at least somebody that comes in within the first hour and hangs out for a while. A lot of our locals who come in, they'll have like lunch and open some packs almost every day. We have some people come in and do that. Gameplay wise, we have tournaments every day. So there's usually people there either anticipating stuff for that night or getting ready for something later in the week. But I would say almost every time that we open at noon, within the first hour, someone's in there hanging out.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it because I was like, it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was like, oh wow, they have a lot of people in here, and everyone's like looking through binders and like socializing, and everything was great. I was just like, oh wow, this is like a really nice community down in Florida. I was just like, oh, and then of course my brain is turning. I'm like, oh, do you guys ever have some shows? You got shows going on down here? And Andy was telling me that you guys are going to like a pretty big show the very next day. So I couldn't believe that you guys are willing to drive 4 hours to a show. I mean, that is completely unheard of in New Jersey. We have a show within a half hour, an hour, like in every direction, every single weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
I'm pretty jealous of like the schedule these guys got going out there. Like I see some of the guys we've been with when they come to Florida, and they're at a show every week, sometimes twice a week. It's like, man, I'm jealous. Here, it's not as like, there's not so many. You go to Miami because, you know, it is a 4-hour drive, but at least when you get there, usually those shows are 3 days and you can kind of give everybody a good time. So those shows are more like, let's go and have like bonding moments for the company, as opposed to let's go out there and just try to run up as much money as possible.
Yeah.
We go out, we get dinner every night. We make sure we have a good time while we're out there. So it's a memory as well as like we're building that bond with each other. And then of course we don't have as many options here. So we have to kind of do what we have to do.
How frequently are you going to shows?
Right now we have it set to where it's once a month. Last year we did our first one about halfway through. We enjoyed it. It was Card Party was our first like big one. And after that it was like, all right, we want to keep up with this a little bit. Because we're still pretty new, Capital's not like the biggest thing we have right now. So we try to at least do one a month. That keeps us learning how to do it and in the cycle. And I think like next year we're going to try to double up on that and go from there.
Do you think is it hard to keep inventory in the store because you're taking inventory to the store to go to the shows, or is it more of an opportunity to buy more while you're out there?
So we're definitely looking to buy a lot when we're out there. Like we don't turn anything away. Very rarely do we say no to anything. Running out of product in the store is weird. Depends on what it is. So like sometimes, for like example, Card Party, we can't move Dragon Ball in the store, but we went to Card Party and sold out of it. So,
Wow.
you know, blessings in disguise. When you don't see it's going to come, but we bring it. We bring the variety, and when you bring the variety, you have the chance. Like we were selling Neopets boxes there, but we couldn't move
What?
Neopets. Right, exactly. But you just got to have it, and if you don't bring it, you know, it's just what it is. The biggest place where it hits us is the singles, because like as you put me onto those stands, when we go to the conventions, those stands look like Ghost Town, and it's like, you know, people come in, they know, they're like, oh, the boys are at a convention because everything's gone. So they already kind of, the customers kind of have that feel, but then they're also anticipating like, well, when they come back, they bring a bunch of new stuff. So keeping up on the singles is the hardest part. Sealed products, I feel like we do pretty good because we buy a lot in the aftermarket too.
Oh, so you guys buy a lot of, you buy sealed from, is it mostly people that come into the store, or is it like
so
different sources?
People come into the store, people come up to us at the shows, and I do the same margins on sealed. So if it's $100 on TCG Player, I'll give you $70 at my table to come and buy whatever you want. Same for in store. You know, if they want to bring me stuff they have from the past, we have people bring us some pretty cool sealed stuff to the store, and I won't turn it away. But they will find stuff in the wild and bring it in. If it's something we can't get, for like Surging Sparks, for example, we could not get any Surging Sparks. I don't know. We got more prismatic than Surging, I feel like.
Whoa,
But,
really?
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know
your
why.
Distributors.
Right. But so when people were bringing in the beginning, they were bringing in stuff they would find. We'd buy it at 70% of market, where they'd still make a little bit of money, but we'd have product for the store because it's hard to run out. People come in and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're dry on product right now. It's just not a good look. I'd rather have it. Maybe have to charge a little bit more, but it looks nice. It's there. They can get it.
Are you so do you give the same percentages when you're at the card shows than you do in the store? Is it like 70% credit and then 60% cash, or what are
because we're the storefront, I do try to keep it there. I mean, there's obviously stuff that's like, if it's liquid, it's going to move really quickly. I don't mind picking it up, put it in the store because I know it'll go. We do lose like anywhere from 3 to 7% to the register, so we keep that in mind. So I've got to buy to at least like 80% is really the most I could go, because I'm going to lose 7% as soon as I put it in the store. So that's the big one for me, is as soon as I put it in my store, I lose that little bit. I will say if it's something that's like prismatic, I'll pay a little bit more because I know everyone wants it right now. We didn't get it as much as some of the bigger stores did, that's for sure. And, you know, I just try to keep everybody happy and bring everything in.
Did you sell out right away with prismatic from what you got from your distributors? And did you have a like limit on what you could give people or have people buy when?
So how I did it was I did not charge TCG Player. You know, I didn't charge MSRP. I charged a little bit over MSRP, but I made sure everybody who came in could get a box, could get one item. So I let everybody come in and get one item each. When the line went away, I let people come up and get a second item. We got, I think it was something like 16 or 18 ETBs and then some other stuff. And we sold out within an hour and a half. Like, it went quickly.
Yeah. I mean, like have you ever had that experience, or how long have you guys been around with the storefront?
So because we're so new, we have had the experience, but not necessarily because volume, but because we had the allotment issues where, like, for example, with Lorcana, when set one first came out, we were only, I think, 11 months into being a storefront. So they didn't really give us a ton of products. So same kind of deal. We had a line out the door and had to kind of let one person in at a time, come get your item, and then get to the back of the line. And that sold out, same thing, day one. Lorcana Chapter 2, same thing as well, sold out quickly. Magic does pretty good as well for us. Like, I know we're getting something like 22 collector boxes of Aether Drift, and over half of them are already like pre-accounted for.
Wow.
So
do you have so you events every night? Will you have the pre-releases for Magic? And
yep. So I try to give them as much opportunity to play as possible, which can sometimes be rough on me and the employees, but I know that we are the only store. So instead of like running our pre-release on a Friday in place of our FNM, I'll run the FNM, and then Saturday we'll do the pre-release. So they'll get 2 events back to back.
Oh wow.
Just because there, like you said, there is nowhere around for 40 minutes either direction, especially when it comes to like Magic. So we do a lot of focus there.
Oh, do you think what's the ratio? Are you mostly Pokemon or mostly Magic, or are you just a mix of everything?
It's funny how like things change. I will say that. But if I had to say, we are primarily a Magic store because, you know, every Monday we've got 40 people in there playing Commander. Like, I'm sure tonight, if I were to, right after I'm done here, I'm going to go up there. It's probably packed. Fridays, we fire our FNM every week, and then we'll do our pre-releases on Saturday. So usually 3 days a week, and then sometimes Wednesdays we'll do Commander as well. It's pretty packed, and that's what gets sold to us the most. So they also buy that the most. You know, we're always taking in Magic. Pokemon definitely is pretty close, and Bandai, just kind of lump all them together because there's so much of it. But Bandai obviously is a big chunk of what we do too, because there's so many different games they're putting out all the time.
It's funny because like it kind of mirrors our Rob store up here. That like he is like a primarily Magic store, and that's kind of like his bread and butter in the very beginning, mostly because of allocations. But then, and he was a Magic lover. He was always into Magic as a kid, and then when he was getting into the store, was kind of Magic was his focus. But now that Pokemon has just like completely taken over, but we have a huge Magic community in the area, and we have Yu-Gi-Oh. We have Yu-Gi-Oh 2 nights a week also.
See, I wish we can get some Yu-Gi-Oh players in there. But that's the one thing I thought we'd be like immediately have Yu-Gi-Oh community. But that's the hardest ones to build for us.
Wow, it's so funny that like different areas have different like are catering to different card games. It just depends on the demographics and like what everyone's into. But
do you guys do any like Weiss Schwartz out there and stuff?
No, we don't. Rob doesn't at all in the store. We have like maybe one that has one of the vendors has it, and he's always slammed whenever he does any of our shows because they're looking for him because he's the only one around, and people can usually only get it at like really big cons.
So see, that's the one for us too, where I can't move Weiss for the life of me, but my buddy has a shop out on the West Coast, Perfect Rares, and they do their thing. Like that's one of their biggest selling items, which it's just to me crazy because we can't move it at all. But then we get on the streams like on Whatnot, and all of a sudden it does well. So it's just back and forth with everything. Yeah,
I guess it's like access too. It's like people when you're on Whatnot, it's like they're coming from all over the place, right? So it's like they might not have a store that carries it in Ohio, but then they see you and they're ready to go.
Right.
How long have you been Whatnot streaming?
So our story kind of starts reverse. Like we were on Whatnot since about 2022. Me and my business partner Neil, me, him, and his wife Skylar would run up probably 6 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week on that platform.
Oh my God. I mean, each person?
Well, like total. So like I would do like anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, and they would do like 4 to 6 hours, 7 days a week. So like we were hitting it hard.
And the packing. I'm just like, I've heard about the packing, and I'm just like, that's insane.
Yeah, and we didn't have a store then, so we didn't have distribution then. So we were going to a lot of stores like Big League and Game Time Cards out in Orlando and just praying, be like, please work with us. We'll make it work. And thankfully, they were helping us with the numbers enough to where it made at least a little bit of sense and a little bit of money to grow. But it was a lot of like back labor. I mean, we spent a lot of time on the platform getting it started, but that's why we ended up starting the store, because without allocation, we were running dry on product and people were starting to raise prices because it was where the boom was starting. Everybody was raising prices on everything. We were originally getting one piece for like $89 a box, and then you see where that goes now.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason we got the store originally, was just to be a streaming station. Our goal was like, we're going to open up and have 4 offices and 4 streamers. And then people started coming to the store and we're like, okay, maybe we're going to actually be a store now. So like,
you're like, oh man.
It's funny. It's just funny how it worked out, because I didn't think that the storefront would do well here. I thought nobody would come. I thought people would think it was a joke. Even when I told people when I was at dinner and I was out at the bar, yeah, we're going to start a card store. Like, why would you do that? That's a terrible idea. And potentially they were correct, but it's just we hit from so many angles that it works out.
Yeah, I completely relate to that, because when Rob told me he wanted to open a game store and it's in this little town that we live in, I was like, no retail stores survive in this town. The stores in the town that I grew up in. So I've seen it throughout the years. Like no retail, they don't really get a lot of support from the people within the town.
Right.
But he was like, it's going to be a destination. It's going to be a destination. People are going to come. And I'm like, nah, like I don't know. And I have to be honest, I don't know if I completely believed in it immediately.
Right.
And then this grand opening happened and I was like, oh my God, you know, like there's a lot of people here.
Yep.
And then it was people came on the grand opening to play. I'm like, what? It wasn't just our friends and family that were there. It was like people who like came with the backpacks.
Right. They
And I was
couldn't
like,
wait.
where? Yeah. I was like, what? I was like, he was like, you'll see, people are going to camp out here. And I'm like, nah, I no way. But now we're over 3 years in and it's like exactly like you said, there's people there from the minute we open all night long, either, you know, socializing, playing, opening packs, just in the vibe. It's like,
and that's the big thing too, is like, you have to be a human in this stuff. Like every one of my employees I've hired was a regular in the store for a long time before I hired them. Like I got to know them very well. They're avid game players. They're all collectors. Like they are deep in this community. I mean, pretty much every card game that we carry, one of our employees plays it. And we're willing to sit down and teach these people. And like, that's a big thing too. You can have them come in and they're super interested, but if you're not willing to take the time to sit down and teach them on their level, you're never going to really retain a customer. So like we do stuff like Christmas events and Halloween events, where it's like bring the whole family. We'll do stuff for everybody. And that's when we really pack it out. But that's also how we start seeing new faces. It's like, I saw them for the first time at Christmas, but now I've seen them for the last like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, I think that that's something that when you lose all the like local game stores or small businesses, then people really have lost the customer service. So when they come into our store, it's like, wow, you know, like I could go to Target and I could go to Walmart and I could try and find things, but I know it's going to be here.
Right.
And I know that you're going to treat me nice and you're going to talk to me and we're going to be able to talk about our favorite Pokemon or this game that's coming out or your inability to find something. And that's something you can't do at Target. You're self-checkout and you're walking to the door. First you're hunting around Target looking for whatever, and then you can't find it. And then you end up coming to the game store and you're able to like actually chit chat with people and have a nice time. And I've been helping a lot in the store over the weekends and I get that a lot. People are just like, I'm just coming back because you guys are just so nice. You guys are like, you're willing to talk to us and you're willing to work with us with prices and everything like that. Where like you go to Target or wherever, and then it's either the shelves are completely bare or there's no like service, there's no community. So yeah, it's nice that your store offers that to people.
And that's the big thing too. Like we don't want to just be a card store. Like we had a whole different business model in mind. We were going to have clothing and sneakers. That didn't work out the way we thought. But like, we're not trying to just open up quickly, get cards and get out. Like I said, all of us are a part of the community. When we go to the vending events, like I generally see my guys are happy to be there. Like I bring Andy, Mikey, and Chris, and those guys are ecstatic just to be there. They're out making connections of their own. They're out making deals of their own. Like it's just a good vibe to have everybody happy around you.
Yeah, like that was something that happened when we went to your store. We went 2 days in a row. So you guys were already at the event, and one of the other guys that were working the store, they mentioned that they knew Artem from New Jersey, and I was like, it just blew my mind. I'm like, Artem? I was like, Dr. Yugimon? I was like, he's done like every one of my shows. It was crazy. And then he was like, yeah, there's the New Jersey show, and then there's the Long Island show. I was just like, oh my God, you've heard of our show before.
That's awesome. See, so that was Chris. So Chris was originally brought on. He was supposed to be just like a streamer, a couple hours a day, a couple days a week. And he's great. He's one of the employees where it's like he's a part of everything. He'll play any game. He'll try to learn it. He goes to these shows. He's made me a lot of connections, like you said, with Artem and Vinay and Red. All those guys I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for Chris. So like that's why I like bringing in people who are already a part of the community. I could bring in somebody to work a counter, but they're not going to bring anything else to the team. They're just there for a paycheck. Where these guys, I might not be. If I didn't give them a paycheck, they might still come to work. A couple of these guys, you know, like they're on the train as hard as I am, and that's why I keep pushing. I'm like, well, if he believes in me and he believes in me and she believes in me, I better believe in me too and get this thing going.
Right.
But yeah, it's a big thing for our thing is community. It's even on our thing. Like we've tried to bring communities together. Like sure, maybe you don't play Magic, but you play Yu-Gi-Oh. You can still have friends who do different things and hang out at the store. I like to call it like the community living room. You know, like you come downstairs from your bedroom and all their friends are there. You might not have every single thing in common, but you do have some stuff in common.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. Like last night, I was in the store, I was helping out Andrew. We have a big a Pokemon League on Sunday nights, and a guy came in. He was like, you know, my girlfriend broke up with me. I lost my job, and you know what? I came here, and I was like, oh, okay.
One of us,
Like,
one of us.
you know, right? I was just like, yeah. And he was like, I'm just hoping that someone wants to play. I haven't played Magic in 25 years, and I'm just hoping someone's
Wow.
gonna want to play Magic tonight. And I was like, oh, it's Pokemon League.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, but just like hang out. There's probably someone that's gonna like come out early or something. Someone might be able to play with you. But he just hung out with us in the store, talked to the Pokemon guys, talked to me and Andrew, hung out there all day. And I was so I mean, I come from a background that's has nothing to do with cards. So like for me to see someone do like something healthy as like coming and trying to be part of a community or being a part of a community rather than going and doing something that might be like hurting themselves.
Right.
Yes. And I was just like so like touched by that. And they thought that like you had all these terrible things happen to you, but instead of going and like going to the bar or doing something else, you came to the game store,
right,
and you're trying to get support from someone and get distracted by just playing games. I was just like, oh, I was like, we might have something here.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
one of the
I mean, go ahead.
one of the other guests said that he was talking to someone how we're going into a new era of connection, and like it's just been completely like sticking with me about like how many people that are like able to connect at the shows or in the game stores or just on streams. And these are all places that you wouldn't have necessarily been a couple years ago. Like during the pandemic, we all stayed away from each other.
Right.
Now I feel like everyone is craving connection. And I love that I'm able to be a part of that and like just be able to like see it happening right in front of me. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
So I see that a lot right now with specifically paper card games. So like for a while, I felt like there was a good like 8 to 10 year period where people just didn't want to come out and play card games. They'd rather play Pokemon online, play Magic online. They're playing Hearthstone. And it was easier and simpler. But I think with the incentives, obviously, like Magic's been doing certain stuff to get people back interested, but also just like you said, you lose the connection. Spending all that time inside during COVID, it's like, please, somebody play Magic with me. Anybody.
Right. Do you play cards at all? Or cards? Do you play any games at all? Or are you like, since you've started the business, you can't do anything?
I don't know how I do it, but I do know how to play every single card game that we carry. I make sure I sit down and at least like build a deck that's relevant and like tournament ready so I can have it for the store in case they need somebody to fill in. So like you hate to see there's 5 or 7 people and somebody's got to take a bye. All right, I'll jump in and I'll play. Even if I'm not the best at that game, I try to at least know how to play everything in the store because it also makes it easier to sell, honestly. Like I can't convince somebody to buy something if I don't like it myself. It's just hard. So you got to at least give everything the shot. But yes, I play everything. Magic's my main thing right now, and I'm playing a lot of Lorcana just because it has the highest prize pools in my opinion right now. So if I do find time to play something, I'd like to do it competitively, and you know, Lorcana has the best prizes I think right now.
Yeah, I had a Lorcana night on Tuesday nights, but it just died. Like Lorcana has completely died in our area.
So we had that. So it's weird. When we first started, man, we had like 12 to 16 people. It was great. It died off slowly, and then now it's been picking back up. So we were at one point only getting like 4 people to come out, but they still give us the promos. We still get distribute them. You know, like if it's just 4 people, everybody gets cool stuff. Like
that's nice.
So we kept on it and switched dates a bunch of times, switch our days, switch our time. And now we're finally getting back to where it's like 8 to 12 people every week.
Oh, that's good. So what does your day-to-day look like? Are you mostly in the store, or do you have the guys that are doing the streaming for you? What do you usually do? Like you're open 7 days a week. So what do you do? Like
so
mostly?
For me, like Mondays, like for today example, is usually like handle payroll, call the distributors, send all the money out so we can get all the products in. I make all the flyers myself for the majority. I do have Jordan who does a lot of stuff as well. She does like the calendars and a bunch of the flyers as well. But majority on Monday, it's stuff like that, just handling the clerical stuff. So the rest of the week I could help. Tuesday, Thursday, I don't really go in too much. Those are Andy's days. Andy's there pretty much all week, all the time. I will give it to him. Like he's the backbone of that company. I go in, I help, I do my thing, I plan all the conventions, I plan all the tournaments, I come in and help the events, but he's the backbone of the company right now. He is there 5 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day, sometimes more than that. Sometimes he's covering for people who got sick or had something come up, and he's the one who's like really stands in line and stands up for the store at all times. I'm there doing pretty much everything. Like I help with the stream, I help with the storefront, I help with TCG, I help with, but I don't do one thing specifically. I'm just kind of spread out everywhere.
Do you sell on TCG Player also?
Oh yeah, so we do TCG, whatnot, and then the storefront and conventions right now. And we're trying to start pushing for Amazon, but that one's a little bit harder to break into, because volume is an issue right now with Pokemon. You can only get so much of it, and it flash sells in the store, so it's hard to justify putting stuff online.
What do you do with all the what do you do with all these the new people that are coming in for Pokemon when you have an established community or who are people who want the product?
So I try to treat everybody the same. It's hard to, and I know it's hard for like the locals who come to all the Pokemon events to come in and be like, oh man, it's sold out. But it's also an attempt to like dodge bad news. Like you don't want people to go give you a bad review because you turn them away because they're not a local.
Right.
And it's also just not a good way to get more locals. Like I think in the bigger picture of things, even for the guys who come in and play all the time, it's still better for me to put the product in new players' hands. Like they may not think that in the moment, but when that player comes in and he's joined 5 or 6 events now and they're all playing, you get more stuff that way. I get wanting to like kind of gatekeep the product. It's hard not to, because there are people that come in that are very loyal and it's like, I want to take care of that person, but you can get in trouble doing stuff like that. And it's just not worth it at all.
Are you trying to push other products when you can't get Pokemon, or are you like, oh, okay, maybe you like some Magic, or is it just people come in, they're like, I want Prismatic, you don't have it, I'm out?
So I will say secondary market is our home. So like we don't get a ton from the distributor. And that's one thing people don't understand about the store too, is like we are still new. We haven't even been open for 2 full years yet. We're still getting our allotments built up. So like we buy a lot of secondary market. We also buy a lot of the stuff that like these distributors will mark up. So, and it kind of hurts because like our distributors we're paying $240 a box for surging from our distributor. And we were buying it to keep people happy and giving them packs, but then they see the price of the packs and they're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's just hard to explain, be like, yo, we're not even getting it that cheap anymore. They don't believe you when you say it. And then it's just a bunch of bad news. But secondary market still is what keeps our store alive, because we run out of product pretty quick, especially for the streams. Like it's hard to keep Chris with enough product to stream good stuff all the time, because he goes through it pretty quickly. Like when it's something that's hot, he burns through the product so fast.
Does he do singles, or is it mostly ripping packs?
So I think the way we shine the most is we do like early products. So usually we get stuff on a Wednesday. We can't sell it in store until release date. We can't put the product in people's hands until release date. So usually what we do is we'll sell it on whatnot and we hold the product back until release date and then we ship it. That way we can start kind of generating the stuff early as well. But we used to do pool games and stuff like that, but it's just that kind of thing is dying off. It feels bad when you have a strong community like we do now and your good regulars hit something really bad in a pool game. Like we're not selling to random people as much now. We're selling to regulars who come into every show, and stuff like that just doesn't fly. Singles we do well. It just depends on what it is. So we bought a big vintage collection not too long ago, and vintage smashes all the time, but everybody's got modern. So modern singles are kind of rough, and they always want to haggle and compare it to TCG Player, and you still lose your percentage to that platform. But I will say Magic singles, again, back to Magic. Magic's my lifeblood. Magic singles do great on there. People understand because the cards are playable always. There's so many formats of Magic where every card is essentially playable that no cards like go out of style. It's always good for Magic. But I will say our main thing is like early stuff. So like we'll get Yu-Gi-Oh! Like 5 days early. We'll stream it on Wednesday. It comes out Friday. Because we're on Wednesday, they see that and they'll come there first. So early product is really our best thing to do, like pre-sales, but otherwise we do a lot of singles.
So Card Party was your very first show. How did you know, how did you prepare for that?
Yeah, so again, that was
Were
Chris.
you prepared?
I was not prepared. I didn't even believe it was a good idea. So for me, I'm very old school. Like I've got to see it cut and dry. If I don't see it, I'm like, no, throw it away. But I also try to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, if they feel like it's going to work, I'll let them take the reign. I'm like, go ahead, you drive the truck. I'm just going to follow. And Chris did. I guess it was through Artem, I think, or Vinay, one of the two, had a 10 table section, and they had 2 open, and we just picked them up. I think it was actually only one. I think we had 1 table for our first show, which probably was appropriate for our size at the time as well. But it was just so fun, like just hanging out with everybody, meeting all the new people. We met a lot of like the the YouTubers that come out, and it was just totally different experience than what we're used to, just sitting in the store all day, alphabetizing cards and putting them online.
Yeah.
So definitely fell in love with that really quick.
So were you off to the races? You're like, all right, we got to book our next show as soon as you're like, all right, close up the shop. We're going next.
Yeah. So I mean, that's essentially how I'm trying to be. I do have a hard time like finding shows right now, just because we're still new. So the stuff that we did last year, we're doing again this year, and then we're trying to get more. The big shows are hard, man. Like we could not get a Collecticon table at all this year, and we've tried every single time.
Wow. Did you try to LA?
We didn't do LA because that one's just too far for us. But every other one that was like reasonable distance, we tried and couldn't get Atlanta. I think they did Miami already. We missed that. So it's rough. Those are the kind of shows you want to start getting into, and I know you got to kind of rub shoulders and get in there a little bit more in general to get that. But that's our goal for like next year, is to try to hit every Collecticon on the circuit.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how Atlanta sold out in like 2 minutes.
Right.
And I was worried about us having our shows too close to any of the Collecticons, because we have so many vendors in New Jersey that go on the Collecticon circuit.
Right.
But now I'm just like, it might not even matter, because it's so competitive. What makes you think it's so competitive now? Do you think it's the influencers, or that people have just been able to see how much money you can make at Collecticon? Like what
I think there's a few variables. I think that now that it's popular and they kind of are established, they need a rolling check. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to be like, okay, well, we're going to dedicate 10 islands to these 10 guys for the entire year and get the money up front, so they're looking good for the year. So I think there's a lot of like pre-sales going on behind the scenes that kind of makes sense. Like, you need to have something stable to base traveling around the world on, so you can't blame them. I also think it reminds me a lot of like the sneaker times, where people are using bots to try to go on there and just buy up the spots quickly. Or it's just people getting incredibly lucky, but you do see people reselling the spots too, which kind of hurts. It's like, man, that's brutal.
Really? I thought that was like highly illegal in Collecticon world if you resell the spots.
I'm not sure how it works. I just know that I have seen spots in different groups available, and for me, it's like, man, I wish I could get that spot, but paying double what the spot was originally at when it's already not cheap to get these tables, like it's just hard to justify. It takes it's like essentially. So I look at it like this: like if I'm getting a $600 table, that's 5 booster boxes I got to give away for free just to sit down. Wow. So when they're doubling the price or adding $250 on these tables, it's hard to justify as a small business, because we still are incredibly small.
So Atlanta's not going to happen. And then what else? Was there Miami or Fort Lauderdale?
Fort Lauderdale.
How long did it take for that to sell out? Do you know? Was it like minutes or?
Yeah, we were on there at drop and we didn't get anything, so it must have been within minutes. God.
That's a shame. But I'm happy to hear that you're going to be coming up to Long Island TCG show and the New Jersey TCG show. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's cool for us. That's going to be our first like real test of, can we go out of Florida and get this done? We did buy a van just so we definitely plan on driving. Yeah, we plan on driving. Maybe we're going to like do like a little vlog thing for the trip, just to kind of make the content worth the trip.
Yeah.
But I think that flying is hard and expensive. And I think, again, because we're new, I think we just kind of got to get beat up this year and drive around.
Yeah. I mean, like it might not be that bad. I mean, if you have the van, and then because you got to lug all your product up, especially if you're going for a couple 2-day shows, you want to make sure that you have enough stuff.
Right.
And if you have more than one guy, it just financially, it probably makes a lot more sense for you guys to drive. But how much product are you planning on bringing?
Pretty much the same setup you saw if you saw the story we posted before. So we bring a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, it depends on what we have at the time. but I know that like right now we have 125 slabs from base set all the way to like Neo coming back.
Wow.
And I plan on keeping those for the shows up north. So I'm going to bring a lot of like vintage stuff up there, a ton of sealed. Depends on what's hot at the time, but we definitely are going to bring up whatever's the most recent stuff.
Yeah, it's even New Jersey has become very competitive with trying to get tables. I'm already booked for February, March, April 2-day, and then now after our February show, I'm going to open up May, and I know it's going to sell out in like a day or so, just because there's so many new vendors and so many people that have vended with me in the past are all coming back because they're like, oh yeah, it didn't do so well, but now it's definitely going to do well. And the popularity of the show has gotten greater. We started with like 100 attendees, and now it's like I can't believe anyone wanted to come back after the first show, because we only had like 100 attendees, but now we had close to 1,500. It was a packed house.
So crazy.
But
so that's how it was for like the Miami show we were talking about. Like that they are also a new show, the Miami TCG show. And I feel like even though it's a far drive, because they're new, kind of working with them is going to benefit both of us in the long run. Like we're new too, so I don't mind going and giving a new show a shot, because they're giving a new store a shot to even be there. You know, granted we're paying to be there, but they're still having the opportunity for us to go out there and display our product.
Around how many tables are in shows down there?
It definitely varies. The one I just did, was it yesterday? We just got back. There was only 80 tables, but we did great. Like financially, it was a great show. I think the average is usually like around 200 to 300 tables.
Wow, that's enormous. What's the attendance look like?
I'm not sure on that end, but I do know that like for this show, they did free entry, so it was pretty packed for being a small show. And I think that's another cool way to do it. Like make your money on the vendors and let the people come in for free, because if the people are coming in for free, your vendors are making money.
Right.
So I thought that was a cool way to do it. And I will say it worked. They got a lot of people in the door for only being their second show. But normally I feel like it's pretty decent attendance because there's so few and far between here. It's not like you have one every month, and the ones you do have every month are usually kind of niche and local. So it's not like I'm not going to go to a place 3 hours away for a show that may only be 50 or 80 tables, because you never know. But this one was in Orlando. It was a 50-minute drive. I'll take a shot. Oh,
I didn't realize that Orlando was so close to you guys.
Yeah, we're about 50 minutes from Orlando and Jacksonville, and then 30 minutes from St. Augustine and Daytona. So we're like right in the middle of all the cool stuff. So
yeah. What other social media platforms are you on? Do you guys have a YouTube or TikTok that you keep up with?
So we were starting to do some YouTube stuff, like just some shorts when we were doing our travel. It's just hard for me to keep up with right now because I'm the one doing the video, and then I'm the one editing the video and finding time to post it while doing all the other stuff. So that is definitely on our goal for this year, is to kind of do more stuff there. TikTok, we tried to stream on TikTok, and it's just a much more complicated platform than Whatnot. Whatnot's really streamlined. Like you go on, you press live, you collect the money, and you get off. TikTok, you have to worry about a lot of other stuff, and it took us even a while to get approved on there, which I thought was kind of wild. But so right now it's mostly just Instagram and Whatnot focused, but YouTube's the goal for this year.
How many employees do you have?
I think I have 9. Let me check. Hold on.
9. Oh my goodness. That's huge.
So I have Chris Bree. That's like my streamers. Bree comes in after Chris on Friday nights, and she streams 9-10 p.m. until like 2 a.m. Wow. So like she does a crazy shift, and she helps close the store a couple days. I have Mikey, who is like my store manager in training. He does pretty much everything Andy does. He's like my fall guy. If Andy can't come in, I know that Mikey can do just as good of a job. His like personality is just the best in the front of the store. I have Ian, Andrew, and Manny. Those are like our back of house, like shipping team. They come in every morning, they print out all the orders, pack it up, and send it out. Jordan is pretty much the shop mom. She comes in and she's a teacher as it is. So like she comes in and she helps me with a lot of the clerical stuff, which is where I lose my mind the most. So she's a blessing in disguise. And then we have like unofficial employees. So we have like Gio, who is our social media guy, who does all of our like videos and the memes you see. We have Matt, who's he does product acquisition, so he's in the secondary market just finding stuff for us so we can stay stocked. And then we have like even people like our guy Colton, who's an electrician by day, but he'll come to shows and help us out. But I guess like official employees, I have 7 employees.
Wow.
And then obviously there's Andy, who's the store manager, and he's the guy.
Yeah, we have an Andrew, and he's pretty much exactly like your Andy. He's the guy. He helps Rob. He's in the warehouse. He's in the store. He does the shows with me. He's doing everything all the time, and we could not do any part of this business without him. It's just it's so funny that you have an Andy.
Strong thing, man. That's a strong thing that stores got to realize is you got to have employees who are there for you, not just paycheck. Like I genuinely feel like these guys have a great camaraderie, and I could go into a coma for a month and wake up, nothing would be wrong. It would probably be even better. Like they do such a great job. It's, I'm a distraction at some points because they're working so hard.
Is it hard sourcing your product, or is it because you have the secondary market and you have your like go-to guy that's able to scoop that up for you, or do you have to be just as competitive as anyone else looking on like marketplace or anywhere?
So I do very little of the secondary market acquisition stuff. So like a lot of people bring us stuff just because they know we'll buy everything. But I don't know what strings Matt's pulling or what voodoo he's doing, but he's always got product, and it works for us.
It's good to be a nice guy.
That's it.
I mean, like I'm assuming he's going to be a nice guy, and he's built all these relationships over this time. So, so would you recommend doing a big show like Card Party as your very first show, or would you recommend someone doing a smaller show?
I think it depends on your capital, but I genuinely think bigger shows are better. Better experience, better opportunity to pick up stuff for your store. Even if you're having a slow day, you can get out there and really, if you grind, you can get out there and find some deals and make yourself some money and get some product. We didn't necessarily do spectacular at Card Party, but I was able to go on the floor and buy a lot of stuff at 60-70%, especially for the guys who were like, hey, wow, I got to get out of here tomorrow. Take the whole booth. We'll buy it all. Like I said, we'll buy everything. So stuff like that is where we really shine the most of those events. That's why I think big events are where it's at, because you always have a backup plan. Like, okay, maybe the table's not doing great, but I can go out and kind of figure some things out.
Yeah. What do you do with product that doesn't sell? Like, especially if you're at like a show and you're like, man, this, Dragon Ball isn't moving, or this Yu-Gi-Oh isn't moving. What do you do? So
it depends on the situation. If it's somewhere further, like if I was going to come out to you guys, I might try to get what I paid for it back. But as of right now, if it's not moving, we have a few things. So I love TCG Player. I'll break product for TCG Player all day. Every time I buy any new sets besides Pokemon, because Pokemon just sells better in the package, but like Magic and One Piece and all that stuff, I'll break about 33% of the product and put it on TCG Player as just singles. Yeah. So when stuff doesn't sell, I know that I can most likely at least break the box and try to get what I paid for it back. And if not, hopefully it'll at least generate me some new reviews on TCG Player. So people are coming in, and maybe I'm losing a few bucks here, but I just got 10 more reviews from Dragon Ball guys, which I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't do that.
Yeah, the Dragon Ball. I wonder how it would do at one of our shows, because I don't think anyone sells it.
Right. I'm bringing some.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the people that have the most variety always do the best, because everyone has Pokemon. I mean, we have people that come for specific vendors, and then they'll look at everyone else, of course. But if you have something that they don't necessarily see every day, like the Weiss and I'm going to say it wrong, but the Naruto.
Oh yeah, the Naruto cards.
Naruto. Yep. I always say it wrong. We have one guy that sells these cards, and he cleans up every single show. He's the only guy that carries them, and he's always in around the same spot, and everyone's like, oh, okay, where's Corey? And like they go right to him, and he just kills it. But yeah, if you have like any obscure things that people aren't used to seeing, I'm sure it'll do well. Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, like people go crazy. We have no Yu-Gi-Oh! Vendors up here. We have
really
maybe two. Yeah, maybe two Yu-Gi-Oh! Vendors, but we have such a strong Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. But yeah, if you got Yu-Gi-Oh! They'll buy everything.
Yeah, I could
They
buy way
really
more
love it.
Yu-Gi-Oh than I am right now. The problem is just I don't want to be stuck on a lot of it. But I will say that's another one where I'll buy 8 cases and put 4 cases on TCG Player as singles, and man, like that's where we also make a good amount of money doing pre-sales on TCG Player. We're the first ones to put it up, so we decide the price,
Oh,
and
wow.
it goes quickly because people want their decks and they want them, as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So that's another big one that we do, and that's why breaking the product works so well. But we're definitely going to bring a big variety. That's what I think our strong point is. Like people come to the table and they're like, people still vend Magic?" I'm like, well, we do. I don't know if any other people do, but we definitely do. And we have like Weiss slabs. We have Grand Archive stuff. We bring Flesh and Blood. So like, you never know. We were at WasabiCon here in Jacksonville, which is like majority a cosplay festival, but we were just like, let's go pop up and have some fun. And we sold a box of Flesh and Blood, and we sold a box of Yu-Gi-Oh, which normally we don't sell that stuff at all when we're at conventions. But just by having it, and coincidentally it went. Like worst case scenario, what's it? You bring it, take it back to the store. Right. But it happened to sell.
It's crazy because like Flesh and Blood is something that Rob tried to get going in the store, but no one came for it. Not like it did not come like pop off at all. But there's a store that's like 5 miles away that they're busting. I mean, like they have so many people that come and play Flesh and Blood, and it's crazy to me. And like we talked about with the Yu-Gi-Oh, like we have Yu-Gi-Oh twice a week at our store. Where other stores there's no point. There's no traffic for Yu-Gi-Oh. So I guess it's just like the flavor of the area or the people that are coming in.
I will say Flesh and Blood has been like the most unique experience I've had in the TCG world. So we were very fortunate really? When we opened that a judge lived in town, and he came to the store and was like, "Hey, I'm going to teach you how to play this game right now." And his personality was good enough where I was like, man, I kind of enjoyed playing this game. So I just started carrying it. He also just happened to have a group of friends that played. So we were able to at least have enough, like 6 to 8 people that would come in and consistently fire as soon as we opened. So that was a blessing in disguise. But the big thing with Flesh and Blood, like once you break through and you can actually get even just a few people showing up weekly, you can start doing like their regional qualifiers and stuff. And people will travel from all over. We got guys that come from 6-7 hours away to come qualify for regional, like nationals and stuff like that. So once you get into like the bigger tournament bracket where it's like, hey, we can put $500 down because we know we're going to sell 60 seats, then they'll start coming out and showing up for that bigger stuff. But that one's a hard one to get into, and they're like a very, very tight community.
Yeah.
You see the same guys every time. Like whenever I host an RTN, it's the same players, and they come from all over, and they all meet there, and it's very unique, but we do good with it.
What do you think the future of TCG is going to be?
Probably digital, sadly.
Really?
I don't think in our time, but I think it's inevitable. And I hate to say it, and I've said it before in my store too, where I'm like, man, I'm just fighting the test of time because it feels like they're kind of almost forcing everybody to go that direction. So it's kind of a scary time to be a cardboard store owner.
I'm like, I like the community so much. I don't want to do that.
That's why I was telling my business partner. I was like, maybe we got to open an internet cafe in the back just so we can kind of stay with the times, because it is a scary thing to think about. Because I won't lie, I enjoy playing Hearthstone and Magic Arena myself, and like I can see the attraction, but I do also see why people would rather come in, and there's like a mini commerce thing that goes with it. So it's not just about the game and the community, but like you can actually fund your gameplay by playing this game in person. Where if you play digitally, all your cards in Magic Arena are essentially worth $0. In real life, you can fund your game in your life, and I mean, even your whole career can be based off of that. And you can't do that if it's all digital.
Man,
I know.
I'm like, we're changing the subject. What would you tell someone if, I guess this is tied into it. Like if they wanted to start vending, or if they wanted to start their own store in 2025, what would you tell them to do?
So I do have a good answer for this. I feel like, so I would say start with the expectations like we did. Expect a lot of your revenue to be digital. Expect TCG Player and expect whatnot and stuff like that to be your backbone. And if you can consistently build a plan where that works, then the storefront's going to work no matter what. And then the storefront is just like the bonus bucks. Like, this is cool. I feel like you do have to have some kind of internet presence, and you really got to have like some internet savviness to succeed right now. Like, it's a hard industry to break into. Like you said, everyone's trying to do it. Distributors are kind of closing the doors where they're not even accepting as many people as they used to. So like, definitely a hard one to bust into right now. But if you have a backbone where it's like, I already have this consistent thing going on, whatnot, I can justify it because now I'm going to make 30% more by having a distributor, then it works. I think jumping in, just being like, I'm going to open a brick and mortar and I'm going to find distributors and pray is kind of rough right now.
Mm. How is it in Florida right now? Is there a lot of competition like where you are? And I know there isn't a ton of game stores, but you do have big box stores and GameStop.
Right. So I will say I learned a lot from so I worked at Cool Stuff Games. I worked at the Game Academy, Happy Viking. So I worked at like 3 very big stores growing up. So I knew a lot of stuff from there. So as far as close stuff, like I said, growing up, there's Cloak and Dagger Comics, who's about 35-40 minutes away from us. They're a group that like we work with back and forth, where we work, I'll send people to their events, they'll send people to ours, and I think that helps a lot. The GameStop thing has been weird though. So I wasn't really completely up to date with GameStop and what was going on because it just sounded like there's no way. Mm-hmm. But when you think about it, like, why wouldn't they? Like, it makes sense. And I walked into our GameStop like 2 days ago just to see if they had any packs, and they had a whole table set up with binders, and people were going through the binders and buying stuff. And I was like, man, they're really doing the thing. So like, our competition with them, I guess, exists, but they're corporate. We have the community thing, so I think that benefits us a lot. We also buy singles right now, and they're not, which helps us a lot. People come to us and want to sell us cards. There is another card store in town, but they're mainly focused on like comics and stuff. They do sell TCG as well, but they're mainly like a comic and figure store. And the other directions, like St. Augustine has a few stores, Daytona has a few stores. But as far as like where we're at, it's about 30 to 45 minutes either direction. So we have that benefit where it's like, once you find us and you realize we're there, it's hard to justify wasting the gas to go somewhere else. Especially once you come in, you're like, oh, it's not so bad here. It's clean. People are nice.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's clean. You have snacks. You can really, you have a little couch. Yeah, I mean, like I felt very at home. It felt a lot like being at our own store because it's just the community factor was really nice. And you're so close to where my sister lives. So when we're down there, we're definitely going to come and visit. And like my nephew went to your store and he loves it. And he's like into Japanese packs now because one of your guys gave him a Japanese pack. And I was like, man, like it's just cool that he's having those memories and he's able to make them in your store because they moved away from us and they're, like they're able to go and connect and like be able to rip some packs and just go. It's like a destination. Like you did well on your homework or your report card and you can go to the game store.
And it's just an effort to show like how small the community is. Like, what a world where your sister lives here and you also know our friends from there. Like,
right.
It's so crazy to think about, but that's also like a testament to doing good business in this industry. Like,
yeah,
if you be a good person and you're a community player and you help people out, you're going to have a good name for yourself. The opposite is also true though. If you do bad business, you're not a great person, it's going to it spreads like wildfire. Like there's chats and there's people that talk and things spread quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think no truer words have ever been said that like if like the group chats and the, like the blasting on the internet and your business being out there is very quick to spread and it spreads quickly, especially if it's bad business. But exactly like you said, like if you're a good person, you try to help people out. I mean, like it all comes back. It really, I mean, like to go into a store and have someone mention one of the vendors that you work with every single month. It was just so wild to me. And I knew in the back of my head that Artem lived in Florida for a time, but I just didn't. There's no real way that I would have been like, oh, hey, do you know Artem? But yeah, it came up.
That's so cool.
But it's awesome that like, so you have a relationship with him and we're able to communicate and we can have you come out to our show and like, that we're going to take care of you guys. We're not, especially because you're like part of this community and we want to make sure that like, when we want to go down to Florida or we want to find a show down in that area, you're going to like put us in the right direction just because like it's a lot of people just like trying to help everyone, which is something that I wouldn't necessarily think in like it's still a business, right? But it doesn't have to be cutthroat.
Right. There's a lot of gatekeeping and stuff that goes on. Even at these smaller shows, like you can tell who's friends and who's not and who wants to work with you. And even like, I'm not gonna lie, things are so gate kept, I guess that's the best word I could use for it. I was even surprised when you showed me the acrylic stands. I was like, she's probably not gonna tell me. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god, she told me. But that's the thing, like there's only one store around us that even wants to work with us, and it's Cloak and Dagger. And I grew up playing in there. So for me, I'm honored. I'm like, you want to work with me? I would love to do that, you know. I've grown up in this store with Brenda my whole life, and I don't necessarily think there's a reason to compete. You know, we plan our events around each other, like their Pokemon Day is not on our Pokemon Day. That way we can both have the players play more, because at the end of the day, the players don't want to have the anxiety of being like, oh, I can't play at Kingsway because I'm over here at Cloak and Dagger. Like that's not fair to the community. I don't care where you play cards, as long as you come and play some cards with me too, you know, like do what you got to do.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I compiled a list of all the local shows in New York and New Jersey just because I didn't want to compete with like all the other shows, and I wanted you to make sure that you know when my show is, and I don't want to make people choose, and I don't want the vendors to have to choose, and like I don't want to split the customers between because we have so many shows here. It was inevitable that there would be some overlap. So I was like, all right, these are my dates. Then we found out when Collecticon was and we threw it on the list. And then we found out when Card Party was and we threw it on the list, just because like I said, there's no point in competing with someone or trying to make people like the vendors or the customers even have to decide where they're going to go. I mean, just, you know, like there's enough bread in the pond for all the ducks.
Right.
That's
the hard part right now too. It's like we're already competing with Amazon, you know?
Right.
But I hear every time people come in, they're like, well, it's $125 on Amazon. Why is it $150 here? I'm like, well, I got a lot of employees. I'm here. I'll tell you about the product. I'll teach you how to play. Like you can come to our Christmas party. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference. Like, yes, we're a store and I know that it's cheaper online, but I also know that like I will go out of my way to provide them the best experience possible while they're in the store. And I feel like there's value there, and a lot of people see it. Like we have a guy, shout out to Charles. I love Charles, and he used to be a regular in our store. He would come in all the time. Sadly, he moved away, got a good job, and had to go do his thing. But he still supports us online. If we get product and we drop it, he'll message us. He'll be like, "Hey, I'll buy that on Whatnot next time I'm on. Please put it aside for me." And like that's how you know people are having a good experience, when they're willing to be like, "I got local game stores in my new city, but I'm still going to come and shop with you guys." And like you can't make everybody happy. That's one thing I've learned for sure in this industry. Like no matter what you do, you're always going to ruffle someone's feathers. Someone's going to have a problem with how you do your math because they know your math better than you always. But the majority of people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis are like amazing. Like it's a blessing to have the store meet these people. I mean, we got firefighters, electricians, tattoo artists, chefs, everybody that comes in, but they still sit down and play Magic on Mondays. And it's just such a cool thing to think about.
Yeah, about the community. It's insane to think that you could, like everyone, they all have different walks of life, but then you come in and you're playing a game together, or you're trading together, or you're just talking about how you both like Tyranitar.
Right.
You know, like, you know, it's like everyone has their favorite Pokemon, or like their favorite memory around going to the Pokemon store, and everyone wants to share it with you. And that's something that I didn't anticipate when opening the store, is that the people coming in and saying like, oh, I don't know how many people come in and they're like, oh, I had this Charizard and this Charizard and this Blastoise.
My mom sold all my cards, and these make me. Yeah, we get some. I've heard some horror stories too. Went away to college and then mom got rid of everything or threw it away. It's like you hear a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah. Or like my story is that I gave away my brother's Charizards, and my like never in a million years would I think that I would marry a guy with a game store. And now every single time that my family comes across the store, hey Marilyn, remember when you gave away all of Patrick's cards? I'm like,
you got to gift them a Charizard one of these Christmases.
Right? Exactly. Like I feel like I'm paying my penance by like being in the store and like hearing that story over and over again about how everyone's mom gave away the Charizards, and I'm like, I did it too. I'm sorry. I'm on behalf of your mother. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
So how do we find you? Where are you?
So we're Kingsway Collects on pretty much everything, Instagram and whatnot. That's the important ones. We're on YouTube as well. It's Kingsway Collectibles, but we haven't put a ton of stuff up there. There's like maybe 3 short reels. Kingswaycollectibles.com, of course, is our website. So we have a bunch of stuff as well. Otherwise, yeah, just social media, Instagram and whatnot. Catch us on whatnot Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every week, and sometimes a little bit more than that. So we're in there.
What's the exact location of your store? What city's it in?
We're in Palm Coast, Florida. So
Oh,
technically
it's
we're
actually
in
Palm Coast.
Technically we're in Bunnell. But it's like we're right on the border. So if you look at the map, like we're like right where the 2 cities meet. But technically we're in Bunnell. I say Palm Coast because it's easier to find on the map.
Yeah.
But technically we're in Bunnell.
So yeah, you're right across the street from my niece's cheerleading competition cheerleading place. So my sister's like, oh, with the first time that we went there, she was like, oh yeah. I was like, I pass there all the time. I was like, now you got to go in there all the time. Like you drop off Gia and then you go and hang out.
That's right. Sit on the couch.
They got snacks, Sunny D.
Yeah, see? That's a good one. See,
I was there. Yeah, I checked it out. Crazy.
Gotta have good snacks.
So, exactly. If people are going to be there for hours, you got to make sure that you got to keep them there.
You guys have food near you at your store?
We do, but it's not really great. I mean, like nothing really quick, and yeah, we
have nothing near us either. It's the first time I've worked at 3 stores. Everyone had food like right next door, or really close. Yeah. We got nothing. So the snacks actually do well for us because people don't want to spend $1 million to DoorDash or go take 20 minutes in between a round to run and maybe get late for the round and get a game loss. So they're really kind of at the mercy of the snacks, but that's why we put a big variety too. We don't want to force them to just eat Doritos all day, every day.
Right. You can think about like putting a microwave in there and have like hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah, so we've been selling ramen and macaroni and cheese cups.
Oh,
and they've been doing really good. The macaroni and cheese at the Velveeta cups, they smash. They do great.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Because it's a quick lunch. Like it's maybe not the healthiest lunch, but it's definitely enough to make you feel some kind of full.
Yeah, I mean, like especially you're playing exactly like you said. You don't want to like lose a round or have to run and hit traffic or like a roundabout. You're stuck.
Right.
So what's the next show that you're going to be vending in?
We're doing the Miami TCG show on the 1st and 2nd of next month again. Eric's a great dude. He's the one who runs that show, and he, I think he's doing as good of a job as anybody can do when starting something fresh, and his marketing is great. His connections are good. He brings in a lot of artists from Lorcana. So I guess for some reason, a lot of the Disney artists, I guess because Disney is here, live in the area. So he'll have 15 to 20 Disney artists come out and do signings for every event and stuff like that. Will bring the people out. They're like, oh, we're going to go buy Lorcana cards and then we'll go get them signed right over here. And he does good. And I think that's a big leg up that he has. A lot of people aren't utilizing is like help people make money, help people expand their careers too. Bring these artists in. These artists, even if they're making money, they're not, they're not invulnerable to going broke. Let them come in and make some money.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had any voice artists or any artists at all come to any of our shows. But now that you put it in that kind of like perspective, I'm like, oh, I was just like, now maybe we should get some artists just so we can stimulate the economy a little more for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to help people want to bring their stuff in too. You see a lot of people bringing Funko Pops and having these artists draw on their Funko Pops, not just their Lorcana cards. So like, I think it's a good way to get people in. I think the voice actors and stuff obviously doesn't translate super well to TCG, but if you can get the artists for the cards in, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Or sports stuff. Like I've seen you guys do some sports in the store, right?
Yeah, Rob just started doing some sports. I don't know why.
I'm trying to get out of it.
Really?
That is a cutthroat industry, man. Like they want me to spend 3 figures a year on like the subsidiary products like Leaf and stuff in order to even qualify for the regular stuff. And it's like, that's $100,000 in product that's just going to sit on your shelf. No one wants that stuff. Yeah.
Like last night I sold some Bowman Draft. I get their baseball cards, I guess.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe 2 different guys were buying them. And it was incredible to me because it was people who were just getting into Pokemon and they were like, oh yeah. Oh, you got some baseball stuff. I was like, oh, I'll take 2 packs of the Bowman Draft. I'm like, they're $42.99 each.
Yeah.
I was like,
Right.
Because like Pokemon cards are like $5, $6, $7 a pack, and so I'm having heart palpitations. I was like, I gave the guy the box, and I was like, yeah, you pick, because like I mean, like, I'm scared. I was like, I don't want to give you the wrong thing. That's a lot of money. You're spending $90 on 2 packs of cards.
Well, that's
I'm
what's
like,
crazy
right.
about sports too, is like those higher end hobby boxes, like the Panini stuff.
Uh-huh.
Football is like $1,200 MSRP, and as soon as it comes out, it's $1,800, $2,000. Like that stuff goes crazy, but I can't get access to that. They want to give me Leaf Metal Draft Century, like some random stuff.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but like the packs were very thick. I think there was only like 5 cards in them, but the packs were like this thick.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, go for it. And then they were happy with the price. I was like, wow, like that's interesting. Like I mean, because you have people, I don't know if they're like this in your store, but like scrutinizing every card, and then like they're like, oh no, this is damaged, and like it'll have like a speckle, and I'm just like, oh,
well, Pokemon, that's how it is for sure. Like they want to come in, and because I mean, I get it, they're looking for stuff they can grade and make some money off of, but man, they are strict. Opposite though is Magic. Magic players aren't really like that, because they're just going to throw it in a sleeve and play their deck. Magic doesn't have like the grading power that Pokemon and stuff does, because everything's playable. Why grade it?
Do you have any graded Magic?
Graded Magic, we have one in the store. It's a Mana Vault, and we got it in like a big collection that we built up. But for my Magic stuff, I have all ungraded stuff. I have a lot of the reserve list stuff, so like the dual lands and things like that. I have a lot of the serialized cards. Every time someone opens a serialized card in the store, I'm like, please, I'll buy it full price.
Yeah. You have any alpha?
No alpha. I have a lot of unlimited duels, and I think I have a beta Tropical Island in there. I think that's about it.
Whenever we go anywhere, Rob is always like, he walks into a store and I'm like, okay, alpha. And I was like, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, that's the safest investment. So that's why I tell, our guy, Chris, I've been trying to like kind of bring him to the dark side. And I'm like, look, Magic and my Pokemon and stuff is great for making money. One Piece, great for making money. But like longevity wise, I've never seen my dual lands go down in price. They've only gone up, especially when you buy nice ones. Like, so I think that there's like a blue chip, I feel like there's very few actual blue chips in this industry, but like I feel like vintage Magic, vintage Charizards and stuff like that are like, it's almost a no-brainer. Right. Or then you get things like Moonbryons where it's like, I bought mine for $1,200 thinking that was a bad choice, and now I'm like, oh, this was a great choice. So you never know.
Yeah. That's funny, because Rob, I'm like, not to keep on bringing him up, but he's like, I bought the Moonbryon for $600. Yeah. I thought I overpaid. Yeah. And then you sell it, and then the same exact one comes back to you, and then you sell it again, and you're like, oh, like what, at what end? But like it's good. Yeah. It's great. Like everyone is really enjoying the cards, and if they're enjoying it and they find this value in it, let them buy it.
I agree.
Yeah.
We had a pretty cool trade. I don't know if you saw it in the story yesterday, but like we had a Donald Trump card. It was graded, and it had a piece of his check in there, so you could see like the DONA on the check, and it was like a sports card, like a patch card, but it was his check.
Yeah.
And we had it for a while, and it's not like it's a hard card to find like an exact value on, so we put like an emotional value on it. Somebody came by and they had like the Hawk Tuah girl graded PSA 10, and I was like, this is the perfect trade-off.
Right.
Like, this is I'm here for these memes, So like, I don't know if either of us made money on that trade, or if we both just kind of broke even, but I know that it was a hilarious trade, and I wasn't letting that walk away.
Yeah, it was definitely worth the meme for sure. Oh my gosh, Justin, it was so great talking to you tonight, and thank you so much for making yourself available to come up to New Jersey for the New Jersey TCG show down in April.
We're stoked for that.
Couple tables set up for you. It's going to be great.
Definitely, we are very excited for that show. Yeah, we're really excited. We're trying to get like a pretty decent Airbnb out there, so we can kind of get everybody together and spend some time, make some memories. But it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be a big learning experience for us as a company, going that far and bringing that much stuff. And I think it's necessary. I think
And you're doing the Long Island show in May?
Yep.
So yeah, this is definitely be like the practice run for that show, because that show is going to be massive.
Oh wait, do they have one in March? I think I do theirs before yours.
Oh really? Oh, they might have a 2-day in March, but they have a massive show at Nassau Coliseum, which is a huge coliseum where they have big arena concerts.
Okay.
That one's May 4th and 5th.
Nice. I have to see what we're doing then too, and maybe go out for that one. I like going places and experiencing stuff. I got to get some warmer clothes apparently though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. April in New Jersey and March in New York and New Jersey. It's kind of unpredictable. It could be rainy, could be cold, could be snow.
Fair.
Could be beautiful. Like
I'd love to see some snow. That would be amazing.
It snowed last night. My sister sent me videos of the kids. They're in the pool last night, and I was like, "Yeah, it's like freezing rain and ice and snow." So yeah. So all right, Justin. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon. We'll keep in touch, and I look forward to working with you.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks.